After cruising on 7 Princess ships in 2024 and 2025, I've learned a lot of valuable new lessons about the cruise line. From their ships, to their amenities, all-inclusive packages, and entertainment, to their casino rewards program. Princess has made a lot of changes that are mostly for the better. In this episode of The Chill Cruiser, I'll explore those lessons in detail and what they say about where the cruise line is headed in the short and long term. If you're thinking about cruising Princess in 2026, you're not going to want to miss this. Hey cruisers, Andrew from Toronto, Canada here. Welcome to The Chill Cruiser, where I explore cruising from a chill perspective. Today I'm going to explore the 22 lessons I've learned about Princess after sailing on 7 other ships over the last 2 years. A few of them are updates to topics I touched on in my first Lessons Learned video a few years ago. Since I've also had the opportunity to sail on several other premium lines like Virgin Voyages and Celebrity in the same time frame, I can also offer some perspective on how the Princess experience compares to the competition. When I posted my last Lessons Learned video, Princess was entering 2024 as the premium cruise line with great value, but also a very inconsistent experience across its ships. Some ships were bursting with energy, great restaurants, and Broadway caliber entertainment, while others felt like floating retirement homes with understaffed restaurants and no pulse at night. Since then, I've sailed on 7 of their ships and 3 out of 4 of the classes in their fleet. During that time, Princess has made a lot of big and small changes, including launching the polarizing Sphere class with 2 new ships, Sun and Star. I sailed on Sun, so I was able to get a good idea of where they're headed. So where does the brand stand 2 years later, heading into 2026? Well, there's a lot to cover, so I'll break all the changes down by categories like amenities and all-inclusive packages, but I'll start with their ships overall. My first lesson is that Princess offers a great premium product with a more consistent experience throughout most of its fleet. The one exception is the new Sphere class I mentioned, which is very different, and I'll cover shortly. On the rest of their ships, service is great, amenities like pools aren't crowded, specialty restaurants feel special again, and the main atrium is usually full of energy each night. They don't have the buzz or modern designs of lines like Celebrity and Virgin Voyages, but they offer a great experience that feels premium in almost every respect. It definitely didn't feel premium on Celebrity and Virgin when I tried to go for a swim and found their pools looked like this after getting used to being on Princess ships that looked like this, even on busy sea days. Their all-inclusive packages, which I'll cover shortly, also offer the best value in the industry. The second lesson is that their new Sphere class ships offer a very different experience than the rest of the fleet, in some positive ways, but mostly negative, in my humble opinion. While they offer a fantastic array of new specialty restaurants and roomy modern cabins, the ship felt like it was designed by multiple committees that didn't talk to each other. The result is kind of like the car that Homer Simpson built, a vessel with some good features that's a complete mess overall. It's hard to navigate with many key venues like the theater and pools that are way too small for a ship that holds more than 4,000 people. Instead of building on the success of their other ships, which is what Holland America did with their Pinnacle class, Princess decided to emulate what Celebrity did, which is start from scratch and cater to a much younger crowd that's new to cruising and doesn't mind crowded pools and gimmicky features like a balcony that isn't a balcony. My next lesson is that despite a very rough launch, Princess is unapologetically moving forward with Sphere class. I was on the ship about 6 months after it launched, and several parts were still closed for construction with no advance notice. It was also very difficult to get space in key venues like the Dome, the theater, and even the main dining room. Princess never acknowledged the issues and has made minimal changes to Sun's sister ship Star, which launched in the fall of 2025. Even though Celebrity introduced gimmicks like the infinite veranda on Edge class, which to this day is still a very polarizing concept, they at least listened to guests and made several tweaks. I still remember getting an email from Celebrity with a list of all the modifications they're making in response to guest feedback. Princess hasn't said a word and continues to promote the ships like they're the best things since sliced bread, when it's clear that many people who experience them beg to differ. One reason they might be taking that approach is that there are no more Sphere class ships planned. As of November 2025, there are actually no new Princess ships on the order books. That brings me to my next lesson, which is that Princess seems to be one of the brands owned by Carnival Corp that's in a sort of revenue penalty box or probation. Josh Weinstein, the CEO of Carnival Corp, referred many times on the most recent quarterly earnings call that there's a profitability leaderboard influencing decisions on what brands get capital to invest in new ships and ship refurbishments. Even though Princess is the second largest Carnival Corp brand in terms of ships and capacity, Weinstein kept referring to the Carnival and AIDA brands as the leaders on that leaderboard, with the profitability to warrant new investment. Carnival and AIDA both have 2 new ships ordered, and half of AIDA's 14 ships are getting major updates through a refurbishment program. This likely explains why Princess ships are only getting new TVs and carpets when they're dry docked, while brands like Celebrity are completely replacing cabins and adding new venues on their older ships. One last lesson on Princess's ships overall is that Sky Princess is a bit of an outlier compared to the rest of its royal-class sisters. I've been on the ship twice in the past 2 years, and both times it felt crowded and service seemed off compared to my experiences on other Princess ships. Dining reservations went missing, there were constantly lineups at most of the bars. Both times I sailed on Sky was with my best friend, who's very easygoing. Both times she had to take deep breaths out of frustration from all the hassles. And the first time she was on the ship, she had to leave the dining room after a sommelier started to argue with her about the selection of wine available on the ship. Let's just say she'll never sail on Sky again, and then if you're planning a cruise on this ship, make sure you pack a lot of patience. Let's move on to Princess's all-inclusive packages. Princess's quest for more revenue and profits was quite clear with their recent announcement that package prices are going up as much as 20%, and popular features like fitness classes and medallion shipping are going away. The good news is that despite the cutbacks, Princess's packages still represent the best value in the industry. All of them include tips, drinks, and premium internet, and their premium package includes unlimited premium drinks and specialty restaurants. They're very popular because they provide a truly all-inclusive experience that means you don't have a bill at the end of the cruise. I had the premier package on Emerald Princess this past summer and loved that I could go to any restaurant on the ship and order almost any glass of wine on the menu, and it was all included. I posted a video about all the changes, and you can find it in the description. Another lesson learned with the packages is that since medallion shipping is no longer included for cruises that depart after January 6th, a lot more people will be checking in without a medallion, which could significantly delay the check-in experience and mean longer lines. With that in mind, if you live in North America, the $15 to $20 shipping cost could be worth it to ensure you avoid those lines and start your cruise faster. It took me a lot of time and research to understand all the recent package changes and figure out that they still offered value. That brings me to my next point, which is that Princess really struggles with communication. They've been silent about the issues with Sphere Class, and when they announced the package changes, they tried to spin it as good news and opted not to say a word about the changes to loyal guests. I was on a Princess cruise when the changes were announced, and I found out about them from friends, not an email from Princess. They did send out a press release that made it sound like the packages were better than ever, despite being more expensive and including less. One major change that counts soft drinks as alcohol with a daily limit in the Plus package wasn't mentioned at all. Unlike other cruise lines like Celebrity and Royal Caribbean that have a regular newsletter for loyal guests, Princess will only email you when they want to promote their latest sale. Let's move on to lessons learned about Princess's amenities. There's been a sort of arms race with cruise lines and their private islands in the Caribbean lately. Royal Caribbean spent $250 million on Perfect Day at Coco Cay, and there's another one coming to Mexico. Carnival recently opened Celebration Cay, where some Princess ships will be visiting. They're also expanding Half Moon Cay, which used to be a sleepy place only for Holland America ships. That'll soon welcome Carnival's mega ships on the same days as Holland ships, so it won't be sleepy anymore. Which brings us to Princess's private island, where there are no changes planned, and that's fine by me. I would argue that Princess Cays is now the best private island for laid-back beach days with less crowds. Although you have to tender to the island, there are more than enough beach chairs and trees offering shade. There's also lots of bars, one with great live music, and a decent barbecue lunch. They don't have over-the-water beach cabanas that cost several $1,000s like on Perfect Day, but they do have regular cabanas that cost only a few $100s to rent for the day. I mentioned in my last lessons learned video that most Princess ships don't have an indoor pool, which on one hand is bad if you're sailing in cold or bad weather, but on good weather days it's amazing because they have so many outdoor pools throughout the upper decks. Most ships have 2 main pools in the middle, an adults-only pool towards the front, and another small pool at the back. I especially love their Grand Class ships, which have a whopping 5 mostly large pools, including one at the back as part of a cool amphitheater-style design. In front of the adult pool is usually the Sanctuary, which I would argue is the best premium sun deck you can find at sea. You can rent either an individual padded lounge chair or a luxurious cabana for a half day or full day for very reasonable prices, and you're spoiled with great food and drink service. It's my favorite place to relax on any cruise ship because of the amazing views, the vast amount of space, and it's super quiet, so you have time to think and rest. Check out my video on the Sanctuary for more information. This is not to be confused with the Sanctuary Collection on Sphere-class ships, which is a premium category of cabins with a private pool area and restaurant. Although attendants do come around with food and drinks, the pool area isn't shaded or quiet, so it's a very different experience. Before I continue, I just wanted to say that if you're finding this video helpful, please give it a like and consider subscribing. It helps me grow the channel and ensures you won't miss any future updates about Princess or cruising from a chill perspective. Let's move on to lessons learned with dining on Princess ships. When I posted my last lessons learned video, I mentioned that there were often long waits to get a table in the main dining room. They've since implemented a new system where each of their 3 dining rooms has a different approach to seating. One with 2 traditional seatings, one with anytime reservations, and the other for walk-ins. Overall, I think the new system is working very well. Lineups are minimal, and it rarely takes more than a few minutes to get a table. They've also introduced pagers in case a table isn't immediately available, so you can grab a drink while you wait. The one exception is Sphere-class ships, where there's one large main dining room. When I was on Sun Princess, the entrance looked like this on the first few days, and it was pure chaos. My tip for Sphere-class ships is to make sure you have a reservation for every night of the cruise with the same server team, and find out the table number when you board. That way you can bypass this lineup and go straight to your table. You can easily cancel a reservation for a certain evening when you're in a different restaurant or going to the buffet. But there have been some menu cutbacks, so lobster is no longer included on the second formal night, but it is always an option for an extra fee. I've also noticed that on some nights there's a very small selection of entrees available, but the quality of the food and service has remained fairly high. I've also noticed that specialty restaurants now consistently feel special again. In my last lessons learned video, I noted that the quality of service varied dramatically, and that I had several experiences where service was inferior to the main dining room. This is why I was skeptical when Princess introduced unlimited specialty dining with their premier package, since they couldn't seem to keep up when the package only included 2 specialty dinners. Since then, it's clear that specialty dining got a bit of a shake-up and more staff. The servers don't seem as rushed as they once did, and the maitre d' usually checks in at least once. Speaking of specialty dining, let's talk about the new restaurants that launched on Sphere-class ships, which have mostly been a hit. I really enjoyed my experience at places like Teppanyaki and Love by Brito, which now has a lower cover charge that's included in the premier package. I've also heard great things about the Butcher's Block by Dario. The one new restaurant that's had mixed reviews is Spellbound, which costs more than $100 per person and includes a regular meal in a private section of the main dining room, and then drinks in a private lounge where the bartenders make special cocktails and do magic tricks. If I'm going to spend $100 for a specialty dinner, I would much rather save it for places like 360, which I would argue is one of the best specialty dining experiences at sea and is only available on Enchanted and Discovery Princess. It's a must-do if you're ever on those ships. Check out my video on 360 for more information. Let's move on to casual dining, where there have been some pleasant surprises. While I was on Emerald Princess, my friends encouraged me to try one of the 2 casual dining options in the buffet, called Plank's Barbecue. Since it's hosted in the buffet, it never appealed to me, but I'm very glad I tried it. The food and service was excellent, and I really appreciated the relaxed dress code. I definitely felt differently about these options and would argue they're a hidden gem that everyone should try. One thing that did improve with the recent package changes is the Plus package now includes 4 visits to a casual restaurant, so I encourage you to try them. When I was on Emerald, I was also pleasantly surprised to see that they'd converted the large Wheelhouse bar to an O'Malley's Irish pub on its last dry dock, which has become a guest favorite on Princess's newer ships. One of the few changes they made on Star Princess was to expand the footprint of O'Malley's. They've been such a hit that it seems that Princess is rolling out O'Malley's across the fleet when possible. They serve pub-style food like onion rings on a stack and usually feature a fun Irish duo band throughout the evening. I liked how it was a massive space on Emerald, while on other ships, they're not big enough to meet demand most nights. Another feature for Princess's newer Royal-class ships that's being rolled out across the fleet is their production shows. In my last video, I mentioned that it seemed Princess was only investing in entertainment on their newer ships. Since then, I've noticed that hit shows like Rock Opera are now being staged on older ships, like Emerald Princess. Nightlife in general seems to have been a focus across the fleet as well. I mentioned in my last lessons learned video that some ships were full of life, while others felt like a retirement home after dinner. That's definitely not the case anymore. There now seems to be a more consistent and lively programming schedule throughout the ship and in the main atrium, which has been nice to see. Let's move on to lessons learned in Princess's casinos. I've been able to try so many Princess ships thanks to their generous casino rewards program. And they've made it clear that they want to be the #1 cruise line for other active players with several recent changes, like introducing an elite invitation-only tier for top players and publishing the number of points required for free cabin offers. You can find out more of the details in my last casino update video. Their offers have become so popular that since I posted that video, they've had to increase the number of points required on most cruises and cabin categories. In my casino update video, I talked about a new casino offer matching program where they'll match offers from other cruise lines or evaluate your play on land casinos to determine if you qualify for a comped cabin. They've also partnered with You Are Comped, which can help you use an offer from one cruise line to try almost any other cruise line out there. Check out the link on your screen or in the description for more information. One of the biggest complaints about Princess's casinos is that they're too smoky, with smoking allowed in 3/4 of the casino on their newer ships. Princess has definitely been listening because they've been making some major changes. One of the few areas they changed on Star Princess was to add a non-smoking casino. On all Royal Class ships, they're converting the bar next door into an extension of the casino. On Enchanted Princess, that enclosed extension is the smoking section, and the main area is smoke-free, which has made a big difference compared to my last time on the ship when the casino was crowded and very smoky. You can check out my tour of the expanded casino in the description. So those are all the lessons I've learned about Princess going into 2026. I hope they're helpful. Princess actually offers several perks that you can't find on other cruise lines. Don't miss my video exploring all of them here. Thank you for watching, and happy cruising.